Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about there is a time and place of knowing what we're going to do. We're going to think about what are things we're going to do, right? And there is a circumstance that when we talk about positive things, even if we talk about negative things, if we try to disobey negative things, we have to put aside that, right? Now, circumstances are, you know, um, basically we are trying to do our best of knowing what to expect it by things where we have to know. When I look at my point of view, I look at things straight on, and when we decide of knowing what to do, we are capable of doing that. We are, because the point being is that, like, when things are going into specific ways, we are trying to do that. We have to acknowledge that in every which way we go, right? There is a time and place where we have to be honored of possibilities, positive energies throughout, and there is a specific way, you know, um, and and you have to precisely know what to do, right? Even if you think about having gossip, or you're talking to trash to somebody, or anything, leave that stuff alone, right? But the circumstances are is like you have to be right, left, and center, right? Like, what I'm saying is that you have to go left, middle, right, and you have to be like that, right? And the point being is that, like, that's why I'm doing these energies. I'm going to look at them in a different way. We have to think these through. If you look at something in inside box, if you're looking at your, like, pretend if you're looking at something in a box. Well, all of a sudden you're in the box, and or no, not right, not right. Uh, when you look at something in a different way, you are looking at something in a different way. And you have to process that. You have to acknowledge that. You have to look at things in a different way. And you have to believe in order to achieve them. You have to believe in your own way. It's like, oh yeah, I can do this. Oh, I can do that. Or I can, do what's right. You have to believe in that. You have to, because there is a circumstance that when I see things differently, I see them differently, you know, and and that's what it is. But the truth is, you have to believe in your own self. You have to believe. And believing is like seeing. Seeing is believing, right? And you have to do that. Now, before I get into the whole motion of things, you have to criticize, or you have to not criticize and believe what I'm going to say. You have to acknowledge that there are things that you have to do. You have to think of things positive, right? Not the negative, no. You have to think about the positive things. But sometimes it happens when you have negative. Negative can be good, and negative can be bad at the same time. Let me explain about that. Negative can go right way or the wrong way. You know, you have to believe in yourself. It's like playing hockey. Okay, you have to believe, well, playing hockey, and you're winning, winning, winning. All of a sudden, the away team is winning and the home team is losing. That's a negative. That's a bad negative. When you are gossiping with somebody else, it's a negative. right? It's not a good negative, it's a bad negative at the same time. True to behold that there's a possibility for everything, okay? And it is. But you have to believe in your own self to take it right, left, and center. You have to believe that, you know, and circumstances are good. You have to believe, right? You have to believe because believing is like you have to understand of what are the energies are going. Now, before I get into the way of things, let me let me give you a beautiful um, perception of knowing what you're going to do. Okay, so if you are an air sign and an earth sign, welcome, and hopefully you will like this reading. So today is a beautiful day of knowing what to expect it, and I am going to read you this, and I also going to read the Bible and all that. Okay, so we are going to be talking about earth sign and a fire and an air sign, not fire signs, no. But we're going to do that. So here we go. The earth sign we have the Queen of Diamonds, and we have the Five of Spades. So in this reading, I'm going to read the Five of Spades is so if you're earth sign, you are actually Virgo, and basically if you're an air sign, you are the Queen of Diamonds. So let's stop and think. Let's read. Basically, the Five of Spades represents depressed person. Okay, so it's the Five of Spades here, and the air sign is Libra, is a gossip woman. Now, these two are basically not quite as they are seen to be. Okay, and the circumstances are leading into bad stuff. So the further ado is that we have to acknowledge of what's going to happen. Okay, and we have to acknowledge of what's going to happen right now. A gossip woman who is Libra is making depression on Virgo. Now, basically, in that sentence, is that when we look at things in a different way, we are right. Native can slap you and hit you at the same time, but you have to acknowledge that the gossip woman who is Libra is making a depression on Virgo. Now, this is between divine woman and divine woman at the same time. There can be two women here, are fighting, gossiping, whatnot. But you have to believe in your own self that this is a one-way street. There's no a two-way street. There's a one-way street. Okay, you have to go one way, right? So apparently that there is some kind of interpretation. Okay, you have to believe in order to succeed in life. You have to acknowledge that. But this, but apparently, circumstances are is that you have to believe in your own way. Okay. So you have to believe in your way. You have to. And we have to understand the knowledge and acceptance of this. Okay. And this is like a life decision, a life prayer, a life lesson, whatever it is. You have to believe in that, right? And you have to understand that. But the circumstances are is that you have to look before you leave. There is a good way of knowing and there's a bad way of knowing. Two wrongs don't make it right. I'm gonna say it again. Two wrongs don't make it right. And that's a good way of saying it. Now, in a bad way is that where you're being avoiding, you don't want to talk, you don't want to do anything. It is a time and place of looking at it. You have to believe in order to achieve something. And you have to understand that. But you have to believe. You have to, right? And there's no way of knowing. There's no wrong way, there's no good way, there's nothing. But what I'm gonna say is that this is gonna be good. Now, not only that, okay, not only that about this reading, but this is how you're going to take it for granted. This is what's gonna say. Now, now, sometimes you are good, sometimes you're bad. But when you look at it as a different way, then look at it in a different way. Okay. This is how it's gonna be. Okay. Virgo, Libra, Earth sign and air sign. You have to think things through. You have to. Because when I try to explain something like, for example, a friend. Okay. If there's a friend talking about positive stuff, and then all of a sudden they don't talk to you, and all of a sudden they're in the negative, change it back around. You have to change it back around because that's what it is, and you have to understand that, and you have to improve your game. You have to, and this is why it's knowing what to do. Okay, it's believing in that. So the point being is that while I'm talking to this, you have to understand this. And this is not over yet. But here's the problematic of it. You have the five of spades and you have the queen of diamonds. Okay? This is acting like the tarot, only a different way. Okay? You have to in order to achieve, you have to succeed. Right? You have to achieve your goal. You have to succeed. You have to believe. You have to have no negative, and you have to reverse it into positive. And it is. But you have to do that. You have to acknowledge that. You have to believe in your own self. And this is why it works. Now, now that's what it is. Okay? That's what it is. So when I have more stuff to do and more stuff to say, this is what I'm going to do. Okay? This is what you're going to do. So while I'm going to get this done, I'm going to read the Bible at the same time. And then, yeah. Okay? So hopefully you like that. Okay? Now, this is more to it. All right. All right. So this is how I'm going to read the Bible. It says taking care of widows, but it would be Timothy 5:13. So 1 1 5:13. But I'm going to read a couple things on here. So please understand what I'm going to say. But just remember how it is. So um, bear with me. Um, understand that I'm going to do that. If you have any questions, any comments, please message them at the bottom. And if you want to give this a like, go ahead. And if you wanted to, what's that? Subscribe to my channel. So here it is. Advice about widows, elders, and slaves. Never speak harshly to an older man, but appeal to him respectfully, as you would to your own father. Talk to your young men as you would to your own brothers. Treat older women as you would your mother, and treat younger women with all purity as you would your own sisters. Take care of any widow who has no one else to care for her. But if she has children or grandchildren, their first responsibility is to show godliness at home and repay their their parents by taking care of them. This is something that pleases God. Now a true widow, a woman who is truly alone in this world, has placed her her hope in God. She prays she prays night and day, asking God for his help. But the widow who lives only only for pleasure is spiritually dead even while she lives. Give these instructions to the church so that no one will be open to criticism. But those who won't care for their relatives, especially those in their own household, have denied the true faith. Such people are worse than unbelievers. As a widow who is put on the list for support must be a woman who is at least 60 years old and was faithful to her husband. She must be well respected by everyone because of the good she has done. Has she brought up her children well? Has has she been kind to strangers and served others believers humbly? Has she helped those who are in trouble? Has she always been ready to do good? The younger widows should not be on the list because their physical desires will overpower their devotion to Christ, and they will want to remarry. Then they would be guilty of breaking their previous pledge, and if they are on the list, they will learn to be lazy and will spend their time gossiping from house to house, meddling in other people's business, talking about things they shouldn't. So I advise these younger widows to marry again, have children, take care of their own homes. Then the enemy will not be able to say anything against them. For I am afraid that some of them have already gone astray and then follow the devil. If a woman who is a believer has relatives who are widows, she she must take care of them and not put the responsibility of the church on the church. Then the church can care for the widows who are truly alone. Elders who would their work well should be respected and paid well, especially those who work hard at both preaching and teaching. For the scripture says, "You must not muzzle an ox to keep it from eating as it treads out the grain." And and in another place, those who work deserve their pay. Do not listen to an accusation against an elder unless it is confirmed by two or three witnesses. Uh, let's see. Those who sin should be re, reprim, reprimanded in front of the whole church. This will serve as a strong warning to others. I solemnly command you in the presence of God and Christ Jesus and the highest angels to obey these instructions without taking sides or showing favoritism to anyone. Never be in a hurry about appointing a church leader. Do not share in the sins of others. Keep yourself pure. Don't drink only water. You ought to drink a little wine for the sake of your stomach because you are sick so often. Remember the sins of some people are obvious, leading them to certain judgment. But but um, but there are others whose sins will not be revealed until later. In the same way, the good deeds of some people are obvious, and the good deeds done in secret will someday come to light. All slaves should show full respect for their masters, so they will not bring shame on the name of God and His teaching. If the masters are believers, that is no excuse for being dis- disrespectful. Those slaves should work all the harder because their efforts are helping other believers who are well loved. So, in that case of that recommendation, is that this is how it's going to be. Okay, when you have definitely support, okay, air sign and earth sign, you have to believe. You have to believe in your own self that God created you in different ways. He created emotions. He created everything. But you have to believe in your own faith that you can do this, right? And it does. It just does. When I take a step further in this, you have to believe, you have to achieve, you have to look things through. But in order to master them, you have to understand that there are things that you must learn first, and you have to, because when you have negativity can draw you back, forth, left, right, or middle. But you have to believe that you know when I switch from positive into negative, and when I'm negative, I have to switch back into positive. This is why that this is actually turning up. Okay, and this is why that uh, it's hard to gossip. It really is. Okay, because if you are a gossip woman who is Libra, is making depression on Virgo, even if it's woman on woman or woman against guy, whatever it is. When I read you the Bible of the Word, 1 Timothy 5:13, you have to believe that. Um, oh, it's hard to say. Negative. You have to draw out the negative. You have to. It's like pressing the turn on, turn off button on your device, like your computer, your phone, whatever. It comes on, but sometimes you have to wait until it comes on, you know? And there's no way of having magic and turn it on just like that. You have to think things through. You have to. You have to. Because there are so many things going on. You have to believe. You have to believe. And that's what it is. That's why this is a good way of knowing what to do, right? So if you have any questions to say, go ahead. If you have any answers, or I'm going to give you good advice, my advice is switch the negative and go into a positive. That's what you have to do. And that's what you have to believe in it. But anyway, thanks for watching my channel, and I hope that you will recognize it. Hopefully you believe in it, and hopefully it will be good by you. But just remember that there are things you must learn first. And this is my good message to tell. You have to look at things in a different way. You have to. Negative can draw on from one person to the next, but you have to believe. You have to achieve, and there's no way of an outcome. There's no outcome. But for you, you have to make recommendations. You have to get along, and that's what you have to do. Because in order to believe, you have to achieve, right? But when you have negative drawn into positive, and positive goes back to negative, and it kind of wears you down. It kind of makes you tired all of a sudden, and you have to believe in it, right? You have to believe, and you have to understand. You have to see something in order to believe, right? And that's what it is. But this is why it's going to be good, okay? But remember, you have to you have to understand that there is always a solution to find everything. You have to solve the problem in order to find a solution. You have to do that. And you have to believe in your own self, right? Because when you believe, you have to believe, right? And you have to throw that negative away. But thank you for watching my show. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day to everyone. Bye for now.